My name is Jeffrey Rosales. I grew up in Southern California. I am now working as a broker in New York City. I came out very late. I came out at 27 to myself when I finally said, okay, you're gay. The reason I think I came out so late was because in my head, aside from being Catholic and really sort of buying into Catholicism as a faith, I hadn't fallen in love. I didn't know what that was. I was actually very practical minded in many ways, and I always thought all of the ideas around romantic love were just sort of dramatic and kind of, I don't know, wishy-washy or something. And so I knew I was sexually attracted to guys. As early as 13, I had my first sexual experience. But I was also attracted to girls, and I think that the attraction was more stylistic. I always wanted a pretty girlfriend, and I wanted one that dressed well, and but they were non-sexual relationships. And so I went through high school having these little affairs, and everyone thought I was a player because I would drop someone so easily, but a lot of it was the non-committal aspect of emotionally or physically being in a relationship that needed to last longer in order to get someplace further. The interesting thing about sexual experiences before I was out is that I would have them maybe every 3 years. Something would happen, and then I would feel horrible. I mean, really go into this guilt thing because I was very much Catholic and felt just guilty and sinful and remorseful and wanted more than anything to be in a normal relationship, and would pursue girls probably even more with a fervor at that and those periods right after especially. Well, it's interesting for me to think back on being closeted and all of the wasted energy of shame and hiding from myself, and how much I just think about how much energy went into that. Coming out to my parents was an emotional experience. I had them read this book called The Four Agreements. It's a small book and a very easy read, and neither one of them are book people, but it's a book about spiritual teachings from Mexico. I thought they might be able to relate to it anyway, but a lot of it had to do with living your own life without the fear of someone else's judgment. And I asked them, what did you guys think of the book? And then they said, they maybe gave me a few things, and they said, well, what did you want us to get out of the book? And so I started a very around the bush kind of conversation that just wasn't saying anything, and by the end I was almost hysterical and in tears, and they're getting more and more scared because they have no idea what it is that I'm going to tell them. And I tell them finally, and a lot of my fears revolved around, so my brothers are both addicts and always been in and out of trouble, and I was always the good kid that put myself through college and then traveled, and then had just living a good life to them, and I just was also trying to uphold their expectations in many ways. And so my father's first thing that he said to me was, I wish you had told us years ago so you wouldn't have to have worried all this time about what we would be thinking. And then my mom's first reaction was, that people are going to hate you because of this. And I said, Mom, people hate me because I'm brown. And I go, and what would you tell them if that were the case? And I go, I have no control over this. I go, I wanted this not to be true for so long, and I'm tired of not wanting this to be true anymore. This is who I am. And I go, but equally as unavoidable and as proud as I am of being brown, this is who I am. And I go, and I think that if anybody were to tell you anything about me because I was brown, you would defend me, and I would hope that you can get to a point someday when you could do the same for me because I'm gay. And it took a while. It was actually a lot harder for my mom, at least from what I heard from them, than for my dad, who was particularly zen about the whole thing. But they're both much better with everything these days.